Hi, welcome back to Z Reviews in the basement, coming at you, not live. And you'll note one thing, the wallpaper today seems very cute and a little bit too clean. Like, where's the darkness? Where's the And well, the reason it's like, oh, it's so wholesome and adorable is because this is a clean pile. These are the Sabaj Amp, and DAC, and I've already done 2 out of 3 of these, and I was waiting for the last thing, which is this, which is the headphone amplifier. And it's finally here, and I did the A10 stack, and that was an actual stack. And apparently with the 20, since it's thick boys, this is the orientation they want you to deal with that in. They want you to put the big amplifier for the speakers on the left. And this, of course, if you remember from my review of that, has the 15-volt output linear. So you plug this in with a big IEC, and then you can power either the DAC or the amp. I don't know why they don't give you either a Y splitter to power both, or maybe they're supposed to be, or there should be 2 outputs in the back to power both. But we'll get to the rear of, I'll go back there. Anyway, so I'm sitting here and annoyed by the fingerprints that are on the top. Let's fix it. I can't stand it. I know there's like stereotypes because you're Italian and everything's greasy. And I was literally eating Parmesan cheese with my hands a couple of minutes ago, but that's not the point. Rubbing alcohol, by the way. Zeus! Link to 99% rubbing alcohol. That's what I have in here. I always use that to spray the spiders with the flamethrower. Like, did you notice a thing? I unplugged the headphones, or the IEMs I'm currently using, which are the Harmonic Dyne PD1s. This is their first test. Had them on the burner rig for like 4 weeks. And I'm like, all right, I need a balanced plug IEM to test, you know, to throw up on the desk so I could do things. And so I picked the Harmonic Dyne PD1s. And let me plug them back in. There we go. How we unpause it? Handsome family. After we shot the grizzly. Now, IMs are usually the way you check for cleanliness and to see how, you know, if there's noise in the amp. These are the Dunu Zens, which are a dynamic set of IEMs that come out specifically to plug into an amplifier and see what the noise floor is, because those are hypersensitive. And I plugged into the back of this, balance for the highest output, which this can handle at 16 ohms, 4 watts per channel. And we'll pull this out and separate it, look at it. 4 watts per channel at 16 ohm, 2 watts per channel at 32, which is more likely what you're gonna be using. I think those are lying, because this seems way too powerful. I'm currently on, I think, high 1. There's a 3-way gain function. Oh, I was on, yeah. So if I'm on high 1, wait, I'm on high 1. I'm gonna hit the function button remote. It jumps to high 2. So it doesn't show you where you're at and then let you adjust it. It just jumps to the next one. So I basically don't ever need to take this out of low. And I'm at, wait, negative 65 decibels. I could add 65 decibels to this. Now, this is the balanced output. I do have the 8XX here, and I whipped out the Emotiva GR1s because they don't get enough play. And I even put their original cable back because it reminds me of Beetlejuice. And I was using this for unbalanced and this for full on balance because the... Okay, wait, one more second. This may be, let me just get right to the point because you're not going to watch more than this. This might be the most neutral amplifier I've ever tested. And I said similar things to about the little unit, the A10A or A10h, where it's like, this is an ideal IEM amp. It's so clean, there's no noise. With the Dunu Zens on high 2 at 100, like 0 decibels. The only time I heard a was from 0 decibels to negative 10, and then anything below that. So at high 2, considering that I'm listening to these IEMs, which are not the easiest to drive, 65 decibels below on low gain means you will never hear the fucking noise floor. Ever, 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 ever hear the noise floor, ever. Because if you ever get up to the point where you're on high 2 and nearing the top, you're powering speakers with it. So, but you can't. You power speakers with this one. This is the A20A. It's the A20A for amplifier, and then A20D for DAC, and A20H for headphone. Oh, I'm gonna have to rush the review of these out. Let me pull them out of my head. Oh, Oh God, they're so fucking pretty. So IMs go down next to Oscar. Hold those, baby. Let's rotate. There's much going on. Many things. So the unit we were questioning is this one. And how is it plugged in? It's plugged in with the 15 volt. We'll just unplug that there. Plenty of space. Front of the unit, covered in fucking fingerprints because it's just glass. It's just, actually, it might be plastic. Can't tell if that's actual glass. I think the edge is too exposed for it to be glass. It might just be plastic. Single knob, push button with the standby light. Go to enter the menu. Here's your little display. It's all fucking bright blue. I hate it. It's fine. Some people love bright blue, like 8-segment displays. The back is where we're like, what? So here's your 15 volt, and you do get an external power supply just to plug it into the wall. You don't need to have anything but this. It's only $240, by the way. I should probably mention the price at some point. Sent to me by Hi-Fi Express. Hi-Fi Express for all your needs. That's it. I don't know if they have a slogan. That's what I'm going to say. Balanced inputs. Analog, unbalanced inputs, RCA inputs, and then here are your fucking outputs. For this alone, I would have said yes to a review. Never mind the fact that I got all of them going. So the outputs are on the back. Now, here's the VMV A1, SMSL VMV A1. And I love this thing. It's a speaker amp, and on the back is a 1/4-inch output that you can use headphones, like as a bonus. And I found that that's like one of the main reasons I love it. Is I can plug it in and get that Class A warmth out of the back, but you're not really using it as a headphone amp. Plus, it makes it look clean as fuck on your desk, because that's like looking for style. This, however, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but as a reviewer, as Zeos, as a person who's got a 4-pin XLR and a 1/4-inch, and then 4.4 Pentacon to plug in, I hate it. I hate it. I would understand completely if they put the 1/4-inch and the 4.4 on the front, and then maybe the large 4-pin XLR if they wanted to include that on the back, just because we don't have room in the front, or completely eliminate that. Everything should just be 4.4 Pentacon, and you buy a fucking adapter. Then they would only need 2 holes in the front. But instead of that, all the way on the back of the unit, next to the XLRs and the power plugs and all the other things you got plugged in, is where you have to plug in your headphones. Which, 2 things happen. I'm gonna try to plug this back in. Hold on. 2 things happen. Number 1, it can be annoying as fuck. Number 2, and this is probably going to intrigue some of you. I've been learning to do this by feel, by the way. Number 2, I'm not going to doing number 2 because I said it. Someone's trained to do that. It's clean. And as much as I don't like the look of like the blue, the shiny fascia, you're getting 3 pieces that you can see a reflection completely in. You got matching displays, matching knobs, and no wires coming out the front. So there's a part of me that's like, I like that. That will make a person who's obsessed with how clean their desk is and who OCD wires organizes, that'll make them love this. Because look at the wire's still here. The wire's plenty long. The wire just goes around the back, put it away around under the desk, bring it out, as long as you're not going to get caught. This might be the perfect amplifier for someone who's OCD about wires. Because and that's also if you're not me, and you only have like 1 or 2 headphones at most, it might be fine. I don't recommend, even if they do, and I don't think they do, but if they said, oh yeah, plug in all 3 ports at the same time, I don't recommend that because the sensitivities in headphones are different, and there's no volume controls between it. So if you put this set of headphones on, this set of headphones, which by the way is also very easy to drive, you turn up the volume and it's like, all right, this sounds perfect. Something else might be blasting. So you don't want to run all 3. So having them in the back is just, at one point, and it's a very inconvenient thing. But at the other side, it's very clean. Because, here's my headphone amp. I did it with the A1. I know I could live with it because I did it with the A1. And that's a 1/4-inch only, and I actually ended up getting, like, this adapter. This came with the Tim socks. And I ended up plugging this into the back of it, and then I had the 4.4, which could reach around the top. I said reach around. Like this. See this? That's almost a little bit more acceptable because I can actually just pick up a set of IMs. What's my volume out of these? Gonna blow up? No, we're good. And I could just plug it into the front. Look, I could do it. I didn't even have to try. But if I don't have something leaning over the top, and it's just all right, go, and then it's like, then it's a fishing fucking match of like, hold on, wait, got it, fucking nailed it. I don't know. Give me your opinion on this, because I honestly, in my head, can see both situations being like, oh, you know what? That's perfect. I hate seeing the wire drape on my desk, or my mouse is right here. Ugh. Give me the fuck. My mouse is right here, and when there's a wire coming out, and it's always hitting the wire. So this actually frees up some desk space. But if you ever have to unplug your headphone more than once a week, that's gonna be fucking annoying. It's gonna be annoying. And they're deep units. They're not even like shallow units. Like a shit unit, you could just like lean forward and do it. This is a fucking brick, and especially if you're using like the short power jumper that goes from here to here, because I couldn't even put this on this side. The jumper that this came with to feed power out to one of these two units is so short, it can't reach from one side to the other. It could only be on this side. So you're sort of screwed. You can't like lean, like that's it. You'd have to unplug it entirely from the power to then flip it around and go, oh, there it is. Let me plug in, you know, this thing. Get off there. 8XXs. Which I gotta, oh, now I put it back and now I gotta figure out the fucking, this is just, it makes you good with your fingers. What, BB? She was at the vet today. She wasn't doing too well. You peeing on the steps again? She was literally landing on the steps and peeing, and it was blood, and she's old. Don't be crazy and old, just be old. And don't go in the leather. Oh, my poor BB. I mean, go in the leather if you really need to. She's walking around fine, at least. All right, so now we've got 8XXs on, and I'm going to be changing these pads out. I have the whole selection of Tacony stuff, and I only have these for a couple more days because I want them back, and I'm like, yeah, I'll get back to you in a couple more days. I'm going to swap all the pads and see how we can do, make another video. So let's plug this in. So these are the hardest to drive of the group. Tron OSD, yes. A Solar Sailor, round one, Rinsler. So on low gain, we're at 30 decibels down. So let's change that. And you just, menu is this, as follows. You hit that button. You're presented with the letter L for loser. Then you turn it. Then it says hi, and then it says H2, and then there's like, that's an O, so it's water. So low, high 1, high 2. Apparently you can't make an M with an 8-segment display. So you got high 1 and high 2. I'll put on high 1 for these. You have in 1 and in 2, which is XLR and RCA. So in 1 is XLR. Oh, I'm using world's best cables to hook them up. Because I love them, and they're actually gonna send me a box of stuff. Oh my god, I can't wait. I can't wait to not have to buy hundreds of dollars of their cables, because I have bought hundreds of dollars of their cables because they're so nice. Not that they sound nice, they're just built out of Japanese wire, Carnair and stuff. What? I love you too, baby. Then I know the vet shaved you a little bit. Did the vet shave you to take your blood? And you gave her a pee-pee sample? All over the table, apparently. So now we're on a high 1. And at negative 50 decibels. 50! That's why when it's like, oh, it's 4 watts per channel at 16 and 2 watts per channel at 32. It's 2 watts. It's like, all right, magnes are 2 watts. This at high 1 with these has 50 decibels of headroom. That's a lot. That might be too much. But the way I want to describe the sound is flavorless. Now that could be a negative or it could be a positive. Take your pick. Because I think this rivals like here's the thing, the THX, the 789 was the dawn of neutral, like actual true neutral, like one of those charts where it's the 9 panels and then in the middle is true neutral. That was the THX, and you could get warmer and softer or tubier, and it was kind of like, you know what? I'm lying to you. Because the 789, when it first came out, was the center of the true neutral, became boring neutral. It went down to where there's fun, and then like true neutral became the A90, the topping A90, and then there was like sterile. And I think this is bottom row in sterility, but like overwhelmingly clean versus sterile, and I want to just slip my wrist to see color. I stole that joke from Lewis Black. What was it? It was October, in like October, the month where you got to slit your wrist to see color. Yeah, so it's like we're not quite as just like deadpan 789 done, but we don't have that like true neutral smell. It's a smell now of like the A90 where I'm like, okay, this is what I want to use for reference. This is more neutral, yet powerful enough to destroy a house. So at some point, it's going to be on someone's list that just wants like, what flavor are your cookies? White. White isn't a flavor. It is now. That's what this sounds like. It doesn't even sound like I'm listening to an amplifier. I know that's weird, but I listen to a lot of shit, and when I can't describe the sound because it's lacking it, it's like floating forward in a giant void. Because it doesn't add bass, it doesn't add treble, it doesn't add soundstage, it doesn't add anything. It just pushes whatever device you plug into it forward. So that's it. That's the selling point. And I'm glad it's not that expensive. Of the 3 units here, I like this, but I think the A10A is probably the one I'd still get because I usually don't need a balanced input on my speaker amp. And I like the 15 volt output for the other things, but it doesn't give you enough for 2. So you still have to plug in a thing or build a splitter if it'll even handle the amperage. So I would probably go A10A, not A20A. The DAC is expensive. There was over almost $400. True Black was like almost $400, wasn't it? She's a special needy cat today. We're going to be very, very happy with her. Go before I spritz you with rubbing alcohol in your butt. Make it burn. I'm not going to do that. Don't worry. But the DAC is expensive. The only problems with like buying this as a stack or a spreads, whatever, chunk. This is now officially a chunk, the Sabaj chunk. Is the DAC is real expensive. The DAC is good. The DAC, I have this thing where DACs are like, is it good? Enough? Good enough? Good enough. Okay, good enough. And I'm done with it. So the DAC is good enough. It has I2S. It has the ugly display. There's better DACs simply because the usability is better. Like if I switch, by the way, the remote controls all 3 units if you have just one of them. So A should be amp, then B is headphone amp, and then C is DAC. And like the DAC's got options, but it's so hard to read through the fucking menu. It's like, of all 3 of these, this amplifier is the one I'd probably recommend the most to be a separate entity. For someone who's just like, all right, I've got the Singzer, it's nice and warm, I've got tube amps, and I can't afford an A90, and the THX is old, what's the next best, like, neutral amp? That one. It's got that weird rear end. You got to stick it in its rear. I could have used stick it in its rear as the wallpaper inspiration. I didn't. I'm not reshooting this to put a big butt picture on, but you understand. It's just the clean, the wholesomeness of the sound that comes out. In fact, that's too warm. This makes you too warm and fuzzy. We needed more stark, just like a blank white background would have been the ultimate wallpaper for this. Just nothing, and I should have spoken with a monotone voice about the amplifier, which produces 4 volts at 275 watts and 3,000 milliwatt amps. Like that's how I should have delivered it to give you the full experience. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I just respect what it's doing. Sabaj is a name that's like, all right, is it SMSL? It's kind of like SMSL, but is it not? So they've got their own thing going, and you think with a fancy name like Sabaj, it would be all warm Class A stuff, and it's not. But I can't deny how good it sounds for specifically, don't fuck with it. Like, I am looking forward to the PD1s here. This was my first time listening to them, was through this. And they've given me enough to say, ooh, now I want to try you on this, and then I want to try you on this, and I want to try you on that, I want to try you on that, I want to try you on that. So it certainly lets you know it's literally a dyno. You can get into a Ferrari and get on the Nürburgring or drive around Indianapolis or take it on backcountry roads and you enjoy your Ferrari. This is the dyno of the audio world. You put your car on it and it tells you precisely it's 645 horsepower and here's your curves and it's good. And you can imagine how good it would be on the Nürburgring or around, Targa Florio. So after this, I want to now go out and find the more flavorful, more exciting routes. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good. That was a good one. That was good. It was good Z reviews. I feel like excited. Clean up cat pee. Obviously gets me in the mood to do reviews. Anyway, yeah. So links to fucking everything in the description. Links to the APOS cable for the 8XXs, the 8XXs, the Emotivas. I gotta get these PD1s going, the Zens here, that all of these things on Hi-Fi Express, and that wallpaper's in the description. And fuck, I literally said, don't forget to start the video telling people to join the Telegram and for Patreon and subscribe for $10 because we're locking in people because the amount of views I lost from the algorithm change has actually reflected already in the amount of people who have rejoined after the month change and come to the $10 chat. We're down like 25%, 30% there. So if you want to be in the behind-the-scenes private Telegram chat and ask me any questions you want, that's $10 a month on either Subscribestar or Patreon. For $5 a month, and here's where it starts getting new and exciting, or new and depressing. See reviews early, participate in yard sales, which I've already sold this in this month's yard sale. Or it's in this month's yard sale, as it isn't over yet, but this is going for sale. Next month, I will probably do both of these units as pair, but you know what? Maybe I'll sell them separately because I think someone could just use a DAC. It's overpriced. They're going to underbid on it. They're going to get it for $244.18, I hope. And then the amp might go as a separate thing as well. I mean, but I could keep it, but I don't really like the back kills it for me for like using it in the rack. Like I still need, unless I build adapters and bring it to the front, it ain't gonna work. So I'll probably sell both of these separately in the yard sale for $5 a month or higher. And then finally, sound demos have been brutally murdered by Japanese lawyers. So if you can't find this favorite sound demo, you may not ever be able to find it unless join for $5 a month on Patreon and subscribe. So there will be an archive Telegram chat that strips the video away. It's just going to be the audio and the descriptions if I can muster the energy to put 400 of those on there. Right now, I think 180 or 160 or 180 of them have disappeared from YouTube. There is a side channel that is sound demos that I'm going to try to adjust and careen through the pain of loss and keep that channel going. But if that channel starts getting hit because I don't use copyright-free music, then it'll just all be on behind a paywall. And I could do just audio, or I can do audio and video, and I could put completely not safe for work wallpapers, and it'll be a fucking hootenanny. We'll get drunk, we'll have parties, there'll be strippers. The sound demos will become my actual gateway to my true happiness. Maybe. Anyway, wallpaper, links to the Subscribestar Patreon, support the channel, see reviews early. These endings always take 2 hours, but I always make them different because I'm not a robot. I don't know how some YouTubers do the same one over and over again. Like this. Be cool, man. Just fuck Jesus. Don't fuck Jesus. I mean, if there's a guy named Jesus and you really love him, then you could do that. But don't fuck Jesus. Yeah, this is Welcome to Z Reviews. If you've never been here before, you're in for a ride. And I'll see you in 2 days for another review. Hi-Fi Guides Forum. Yeah, that's the last thing.